committee. Let's talk to Sean Curtin, who is an expert and author on China. Sean, you're very welcome to Talk TV this morning. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Good morning, Peter, and a nice intro there from the previous one about China, which really is a big challenge. The current situation is obviously the report that the intelligence and security...
Yeah, what do you make of this? Because there were quite a few criticisms of Rishi Sunak's and I suppose the Conservatives in this in general in terms of how seriously they're taking China.
I think that the report gives us a clear basis to define the lines of the debate within the government at the moment. I hope very much that this debate will not become a party issue, because on the one side, we have China as a threat, which Ian Duncan Smith and his particular strand of thought says, look, you can't treat China the same after the Russian invasion of Ukraine. And Rishi Sunak is saying that it is an epoch-defining and systematic challenge. One thing is for certain, that whatever course the UK charts, it will be epoch-defining for the UK. And it certainly will be systematic for our system. And Rishi Sunak is basically saying trading with China is good for your health, it's not harmful. Whereas Ian Duncan Smith says there should be a warning that trading with China can seriously damage your economy.
From your perspective, Sean, I mean, this is probably more than a 1-minute interview on a TV programme, but I mean, how do you balance that out? Because we cannot avoid China. We cannot in any way ignore it. It is a massive global economy. Many of our goods and some services come from there, and yet it is hostile state in some ways, far more hostile in some people's views than others. But it is a difficult dance, isn't it? We can't just ignore it. We can't just boycott it. We can't just say, right, we're going to put sanctions on it, or we're going to, not trade with it.
It's getting the balance right and recognising what kind of threat that China is to us. So the Intelligence and Security Committee are saying the government is too slow, or glacial, I think their term was, to react to some of the challenges, if you wish, rather than use the word threat that China poses. It's true. China is an absolutely massive global player. If you go anywhere in Africa, China is such a power. So we ourselves have to chart our course. But it does seem that after the invasion of Ukraine, we cannot have the same attitude, because obviously the dependence we had on Russian oil and other factors means that we have to reassess the way that we interact with China. And China is not the same China that we dealt with before. Yeah. Since Xi Jinping became president in 2012, China has charted a very different course, and we have to respond to that, and we have to change our policy. It doesn't mean we're going to disengage from China. It doesn't mean that we're going to isolate ourselves from China. I think the policy is we engage with China, but we are cautious and we review. We don't want to become dependent on China.